guess I would say networking is the common thread. I really do value connections and getting to know people. And I think getting to know someone just to get to know someone, not because you actually need something from them or want something from them. And maybe someday you will need something or want something from them. And, or maybe you can help them. But I think, being able to know people and be helpful. And I mean, I guess it kind of connects in with the general counsel role, which is I think one of the ways of being a really great general counsel is that if someone comes to you, some, whatever C-level business person comes to your office and says, "Hey, Lisa, I need you to help me figure out XYZ," or better yet, they dump it on you and say, "Figure this out." Knowing so many people in lots of different areas, you probably know someone who's dealt with it or who specializes in whatever the thing is, or who knows a vendor who does the thing, whatever it is. But if you can reach out to your network to solve a problem and make your life easier and manage some of the chaos, I mean, that's to me one of the secrets to success of juggling everything that you have to do as a GC.
Welcome to Becoming the GC, the podcast that dives deep into the journeys of general counsels and chief legal officers, uncovering the insights and strategies that help define their success. Hosted by Joe Schul, founder of Inside Counsel Academy. We share real-life stories and practical advice from successful GCs, guiding you on your journey to the top. Tune in and discover what it takes to become the exceptional legal leader your organization needs.
My guest today has worn just about every hat a modern legal leader can wear. Lisa Harrington has been a litigator, a public company GC several times over, a fractional and interim GC, a public company board member, and now is CEO of a manufacturing company. On top of that, she teaches executive presence and leadership at Wharton and is building a new From Lawyer to Leader, the Path to GC program at UC Irvine Law School. In this conversation, Lisa and I dig into how she built a true portfolio career, moving from insurance defense to becoming the GC at Fandango, followed by its sale to Comcast, to global consumer brands, and now into the CEO seat. We talk about networking as a superpower, why a litigation and insurance background can become a hidden advantage, and how GCs can step confidently into broader business and board roles. If you're an aspiring GC or a sitting GC wondering what's next, you'll hear practical strategies for managing a career inflection point, protecting your judgment in the boardroom, and using technology, including AI, to elevate rather than replace your impact. Let's get into my conversation with Lisa Harrington. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to see you again, Joe.
It's great to see you again as well. People say to me like, "Oh, you've got your hand in so many things." I love talking to you because it makes it seem like I have my hand in almost nothing. You have got to be the busiest GC I know in terms of not only the GC work, but so much more. And usually I like to start with, let's go back in time, but I kind of want to start with tell me your portfolio of things that keep you professionally challenged on a day-to-day basis right now.
Great. Yeah. For the last, about 3 or 4 years, I have been primarily a fractional GC and an interim GC. And I'm doing various consulting work. I'm also teaching and, as you know, creating a course at UCI Law School. I teach at Wharton online and I serve on some boards, one nonprofit, one educational, and one public company. So a little bit of everything, which I kind of enjoy because it gives me, like you were saying, kind of my hand in a lot of different things. So it's nice not to have to do the same thing every single day so it becomes drudgery, but you get to move around a little bit and interact with different people all the time.
It sounds amazing. So not having to do the same thing every day is a little different. How do you do it so that you're not having to do 10 things at the same time every day?
Well, I pretty much am doing 10 things at the same time every day because the other thing I didn't mention a moment ago is that for the last several months, I've also been CEO of a manufacturing company. I was general
Oh,
counsel.
and there's the CEO job.
There's that too. So there's another hat I get to wear. No, it's actually been really, really fun. Really lovely people. I was general counsel of their international company, and for their North America entity, there was a change in the CEO, and they said, "Can you do it?" Said, "Oh, okay." So I'm learning how to be a full, really, truly business operator, and not
Yeah.
just a GC, which of course you've been one before yourself. Like, you know that we are, in fact, business operators, and you're absolutely 100% a business person as a GC, but maybe not to this extent.
No doubt.
It's great. It's been a wonderful learning experience. So it's yet another hat that I'm wearing. But to your question, it's extremely difficult to manage everything. I think part of it is just many years of working and, being a leader, which you and I both have for many years. I think you just kind of figure it out over time. Some of it is I've been trying to adopt more technology, try to streamline what I'm doing. And some of it is just staying up really late at night.
Right, right. Now I'm gonna wanna go back in time because were you always like this? Like, were you in every club, every sport, every, thing in school, and this has just continued?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was vice president of my sorority in college. Yeah, I mean, as you know, because this is how we met, I was on the board of the Association of Corporate Counsel. I was really involved as a member for many years, and then I was on the board for 6 years, and now I'm still a member. I've been a member of a lot of different legal organizations, either now or over the years. The Association of Media and Entertainment Council. Oh, there's just a whole long list. So, I was on the board of Women Lawyers Association of Los Angeles. So yeah, I like to volunteer. I like to give back. I'm on the board of USC Law School. So again, it's doesn't pay me anything, but it's nice to help your alma mater and give back to the students too.
That's awesome. So all those things that you listed off, like, what would you say, is there a common thread other than Lisa Harrington?
I guess I would say networking is the common thread. I really do value connections and getting to know people. And I think getting to know someone just to get to know someone, not because you actually need something from them or want something from them. And maybe someday you will need something or want something from them. And, or maybe you can help them. But I think being able to know people and be helpful. And I mean, I guess it kind of connects in with the general counsel role, which is, I think, one of the ways of being a really great general counsel is that if someone comes to you, some, whatever C-level business person comes to your office and says, "Hey, Lisa, I need you to help me figure out XYZ," or better yet, they dump it on you and say, "Figure this out." Knowing so many people in lots of different areas, you probably know someone who's dealt with it or who specializes in whatever the thing is, or who knows a vendor who does the thing, whatever it is. But if you can reach out to your network to solve a problem and make your life easier and manage some of the chaos, I mean, that's to me one of the secrets to success of juggling everything that you have to do as a GC.
For sure. And so you have deep roots here in Southern California?
Do. I'm
That
born and
helps,
raised.
right?
I
Yeah.
am fifth generation native born Southern Californian.
Is
I'm
that
about
right?
as Californian as you can get. Yeah. And my kids are as well. So yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
an actual, I'm almost as far back native as you can get, but not
I
quite.
I don't think I know anybody here who doesn't know you, so
Uh, I have lived here my whole life. I went to UCLA for college. I went to USC for law school. I've lived either in LA or Orange County my entire life. So, yeah, I have a pretty good network in those areas. Stick me in the middle of the country and it won't have the same effect. But certainly in Southern California, or maybe, throughout California, different areas, San Diego and such, I know a lot of people. And, to me, that's kind of well, I mean, it's a compliment in a way that people want to keep in touch with you, but also it's just a really great way to be able to, just rely on your network when you need people.
when did you know you wanted to be a lawyer?
I'm one of those weird people that decided in about seventh grade that it sounded like a good idea. I know not everyone does that. I know one of my daughters is still in college and doesn't know what she wants to do, and that's totally okay. But I went to some I don't know, like parents, and they give a little speech on their career, and they come to the middle school and they talk, whatever. And it was a woman. which at the time was a big deal because now there's tons and tons of women lawyers, but at the time there weren't really that many. And I remember her speaking, thinking, I could do that. I have those skill sets. And of course, also realizing that math was not my strong suit. So that kind of ruled out a number of things. But I thought that, I liked what she did. Originally, my plan, honestly, was to be like a DA or, federal prosecutor or something like that. So my plan changed. But still, the path of law kind of stuck in my head in an early age.
Yeah, and did you go straight through from UCLA to USC?
I did.
And what
I
was that?
did.
What was that like from a, culture perspective? Who do you root for?
I have season tickets to the USC football games. So yeah, much to my UCLA sorority sisters' unhappiness, but that's okay. Both my daughters went to USC. I'm still on the board of USC Law School, so that's kind of, and I guess to the point of network, I've learned a lot that, there's sort of the hype of, oh yeah, the Trojan Network, but they really push networking on you. Like it's just, I mean, you have to live and breathe it, and it's true, and it pays off because I can't tell you how thankful I am for so many of my law school friends and acquaintances and all the things people have done for me, and I've done things for them. So, yeah, but my loyalty lies there for those reasons, but I still do love the fact that I went to UCLA.
Yeah. What's a law school memory that you have that, you still draw upon today?
Well, I do moot court every year, so I'm a moot court judge. So it's sort
Oh,
of fun to
nice.
think
Yeah.
back. Yeah,
Okay.
I just did it like a couple
Yep.
weeks ago with my other law school classmate who I think Liz Atley. So she and I were both judges, and it was just wonderful. And we reflected that we have so many people from our law school class that we see all the time, like all the time, and
Yeah.
that was a long time ago. So we're very happy about that. But
Right. And you can't
uh,
help but to think when you were on the other side, right? When you were doing the,
yeah,
the program as a student.
yeah, exactly. And it just, I'm actually on campus and in the law school building a decent amount because
Wow.
I'm also a mentor. They have a mentorship program. I have two mentees this year. And so I was just back there recently and I met with my mentees and, so I'm on campus a decent amount. So I have those memories come flooding back. I mean, honestly, the memory that stands out the most, unfortunately, is that I went to law school during the LA riots at USC. So that was not the best, and it was during finals.
Was it
So
really?
it
Yeah.
wasn't the best memory of law school, but I will say that, trauma kind of bonds you together. So maybe that's why some of my classmates and I are so close still all these years later is that
Yeah.
we had that kind of common, like, I can't believe this is happening while we're in law school finals
Right.
situation.
Totally. Yeah. Was that first year finals?
It was second year.
Oh, second year finals. Yeah. I
Goodness, it wasn't first year.
no, I can't
Terrible.
remember all the events, but it seemed like every year I went to law school in New York, there was always some big thing that happened right before finals that would
Really.
put everybody in front of the TV instead of, one year it was like the first World Trade Center bombing. The next year was
Right.
something else. So yeah, I get it.
We're resilient. We lived through it, Joe.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So tell me what you did upon graduation.
So right out of law school, kind of like right now, the economy was really terrible. Jobs were few and far between, even for the people who graduated in the top of the class, kind of like now, because no one was hiring. I got a job at a law firm in downtown Los Angeles, mainly doing insurance defense, which has sort of been a pro and a con. Number one, it's sort of, stereotyped as insurance defense. But flash forward, my first in-house job was with an insurance company. And to this day, every single job I've ever had, people go, "You understand insurance? Oh, here, read this. Let us understand this. Like, help us with this. Do we need to make a claim? How do we restructure our insurance portfolio?" So, well, at the time, it was not my dream job. And they were nice people. It's just not
Yeah,
really what I wanted to do.
right.
But it's ended up serving me well. So you never know where your path might lead.
So true. Like I know people who started as bankruptcy lawyers, right? Who didn't
Mm,
necessarily want to do that, but it was during a downturn. And
same. Yeah.
and their whole career has benefited from that
Mhm.
because,
Yep.
there's no better way to view a deal than what, could ultimately go wrong and knowing and it's like
Uh,
insurance, not just a thing where it's like, "Oh, insurance, I don't do that." So I
right.
don't understand it, I put it off to the side. Having that understanding is a little bit of a superpower.
Well, and I think that combined with being a litigator, which is not the most common path of a general counsel. I mean, there are plenty of general counsels who did come up
Yep,
in through
plenty. Yep.
litigation, but I would say the vast majority did not. But I truly think that's also a bit of a superpower. And, other people I know who came up through the litigation side, they agree with that because I think it really gets you to understand risk, right? You're understanding, and kind of like what you said about bankruptcy, the downside, right? You see where this can go, right? And you don't want to be chicken little, the sky is falling, but you also have a little bit more of a crystal ball that way. Cause I think you can see around the corners and 4 steps ahead of like, oh, I've seen this happen before and it didn't go well. And here's how it went. Or I think this is a little more risky than you think it is, and here's why, right?
Yeah.
Like, or maybe it's not. Oh, no, you're worrying about nothing. Like, I've dealt with this before. It is no big deal. Don't even worry, right? So, I mean, it's not like we're always, oh, don't do that. Oh, it's too risky. Sometimes I have absolutely been in the situation of saying, no, no, you're stressed about that. Nothing's going to happen. It's going to be fine. And they're like, I don't know. I don't know,
Yeah.
like a
Not a
CEO or
big deal.
something.
Right. I've
I'm
seen
like,
this
no, you're
before.
good.
Yep.
You're
Yep.
fine. So, yeah,
That's great.
it's a good strength, I think.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. So then, did you go to another firm or did you go in-house from there?
I went to another firm I went to another firm in Century City for a few years, 4 years, I think, doing a whole lot of different things. But I did a lot of environmental coverage litigation, which was actually really interesting, from the environmental aspect of it. And then I moved to a firm in downtown LA, and then one of the clients of that firm was Unum Life Insurance Company of America,
Mm.
which Unum Provident is actually what it used to be called. So it was kind of a merger of a different company, and it's changed names a number of times along the way. But yeah, I knew they were opening up an office in Glendale, and they'd never had any lawyers west of the Mississippi, and they needed somebody to be the GC of everything. Like, of everything in what they called the West, but it was bigger than just the West. It was West of the Mississippi, and they tried to find folks to transfer out. And because of the cost of living differentials, there was an office in, like, outside of Boston, there was an office in Massachusetts, in Tennessee, and there was another one in Maine. Lovely places, but very different cost of living, school systems, all that stuff. Nobody wanted to do it, so I said, oh, I would do it. And they said, okay. So that's how I went in house.
Wow. Yeah. Great.
I
Is
just
that
sort of
when,
raised my hand and they said yes. So it was the, I guess sort of the typical path, right? You go in house for a client. So
is that when you joined ACC? Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That was in 2000, the fall of 2000. And yeah, I joined ACC right away. And that's
Yeah.
maybe around when I met you.
Great organization.
Yeah,
Encourage any in-house lawyer to join. Um,
absolutely.
was that what things were you doing as a young lawyer to network before that? And then what role did that play in building your network as a GC?
Not sure I spent as much time on networking prior to when I went in house as
Mhm.
maybe I should. I was 7 years out. You work a ton of hours when you're more junior. I certainly didn't do zero. I think I was president of my HOA or something too. So I obviously had things going on. But I was doing this or that. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I was really doing on to work on my network. But I think I knew that once I went down a different path and went in house, I knew that I was going to need to build a different group, right? Because I had
Yeah.
this group of law firm people that I'd gotten to know really well and the vendors that we use and all of that. But this is a different world. And all of a sudden, you're a business person and you're not just a lawyer. And so you need a whole big network of other people who are just like you, with the same concerns and thoughts and problems and needs and everything else, to help you out. So yeah, that's when I joined ACC, and it absolutely did all those things for me.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. So then take me through your path from there to your next job.
So I did in-house work in insurance companies for about 5 or 6 years. During that time is when I had my 2 kids. So at some point, too much travel and two tiny little kids was not super conducive. So Because of networking, I have to go back to the networking piece. I was chit-chatting with someone who was like, "Hey, I work at this cool company on the West Side, and I need somebody to come work with me. Are you interested? It's cool that you have little kids. We're flexible, et cetera, et cetera." I'm like, "Well, that sounds great." So that's how I started my job at Fandango.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Really different change, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I left insurance and went to, digital media, e-commerce, ticketing technology, a whole lot of different things. But a brand that it actually not I mean, now everybody's heard of it, but back then, they'd only been around about 5 or 6 years, so people heard of it, but it wasn't really what it was then. So,
Mm.
it was kind of a later stage startup, I guess, but I think I was, like, employee 75 or something.
Is that
So,
right? Yeah.
I have lots of really great friends from those early days because we really grew and built the company significantly, and then we sold the company to Comcast. So,
Okay. So you were there through the sale.
yes, I had a very big role in
What would you tell us about that?
Well, I mean, it was actually something I was gonna mention just sort of in a general sense of, like, one of the big differences between being an in-house lawyer and being a general counsel is that when you're a general counsel, you are part of the company. And if there's a problem that a company faces, it's your problem too. It's not like, oh, I'm the lawyer, right? It's just, this is a problem. We have to solve it. Now, mind you, this is in 2006, 2007. Not very much was digital back then, which makes it sound like dinosaurs roamed the earth. But like, there really weren't much in the way of cell phones. It was kind of different back then. But anyways, we were trying to sell the company to Comcast, and we had physical boxes, places. There were things in people's desk drawers. I mean, I'm sitting here trying to put together like diligence materials for a huge company like Comcast, and kind of in a panic. They're going, "Oh, we think maybe it's in Bob's office." Like, God. So I literally would like wear jeans and sneakers and like crawl around on the floor. So don't think that being a GC is always glamorous because it certainly is not. You do what you have to do. Absolutely.
No doubt. And, we can talk endlessly about how technology has changed so many things. I mean, that was in the BlackBerry era, but not yet the iPhone era, right? That's
Almost. So
Yeah.
when I was working there, because it was Fandango, and of course they have an app, like I was part of the team that decided, are we going to make an app? If so, what's it going to do? How do we do it? How do we figure it out from like a payment processing and data security standpoint? And you know, apps were literally brand new. That's when people used to have the flashlight app and it was a big deal. So, I know that sounds really crazy to anyone young who will hear this, but this really wasn't so long ago, or at least I like to think it wasn't. But, so much has changed so quickly. I mean, flash forward in 10 years, there's people that are young now. They're going to be going, oh, yeah, I was there when AI became a thing, right?
right.
And it's gonna sound like, "Really? Wow, so long ago." But, nobody had a mobile device, right? Or just certain people had them, and nobody had apps, and all these things were new. So from a business perspective and a legal perspective, it was fascinating because we had to sit there in rooms and figure out, well, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna do this? Are we gonna be first to market? Are we gonna wait for other people to go? We're gonna follow them? Like, how are we gonna do all this? So it was really, really a fun and interesting time.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And it's interesting, like being in Southern California doing that when a lot of the activities up in Northern California.
Yeah.
Did you do anything to like build a network with folks up there? So you've got some data points and how other people are doing things?
No, because I think it was really seen as an entertainment company,
Yeah.
right? And so it's LA.
Right.
So it was in like right on the border, West LA and Santa Monica is where the offices were at the time. So I think that's why, because it was really initially before we sold the company to Comcast, it was funded by well some VCs, but also some of the major theater chains.
Mm.
So it really was more of an entertainment platform initially. So it really, but it was a tech company. So I always try to on my resume or LinkedIn or whatever, I always try to make that clear. It's like, yeah, it's super cool. It's movies, but it was a tech company.
Yeah, and
um,
it was I mean, it was both the first entertainment company and the first tech company you worked at, right? Like
Huh?
you were in insurance before that, and
Yeah.
so what stuck from that period of time? Like what other things have you done in those 2 sectors?
Well, I was there. I mean, we had Comcast eventually bought NBC Universal, so it became even more media heavy than it was. So
So
I was there about,
you stayed on after the sale?
oh yeah, long after.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I was there all told about, I don't know, 9 or 10 years.
Okay.
Um, Sat in the same. Well, I take that back. We did move up a couple floors at one point, but same building the whole time, more or less the same chair. While the company changed drastically from a cute little startup that was in like had neon colored walls to, corporate America. It was a really fascinating change. I will say that, the again back to the networking concept, I guess the business team, everybody was great. They didn't treat me like a lawyer, which I was so thankful for. I was just truly one of the team, and I'm still friends with a lot of those people, and some of them I talk to actually pretty regularly, and it just was such a nice experience having people that just valued each other's input. And it didn't matter if you were the CFO or you were the head of biz dev or you were the lawyer. It's just like, hey, we've got this problem to solve, like
Mm,
building a mobile app or whatever the thing was,
yeah.
right? And let's figure it out together. So I think in my head, that's always like a great model for a wonderful business team. And it is not that typical. I mean, I didn't really know because I had wonderful business team at, the insurance company because we kind of built everything from scratch on our own. And then I came here, so I had a lot of years of really great experiences with, close knit business teams that really respected one another so much and appreciated what legal does. And that makes it so much different. I mean, if
Yeah.
they really understand what you do, or frankly, even if they don't, if they have, respect for what you do and what you add to the process, it just makes your job so much easier. And I think you make a lot of nice friends that way too. So, but yeah, to answer your question, I have, I think sort of entertainment, media, technology, and then eventually consumer products are kind of what ran through the rest of my career. I mean, I really love entertainment and media. I think it's been really fascinating. I'm the public board actually that I'm still on is A-Rod, baseball player, from Shark
Some of
Tank.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's like an investment company as well, but it kind of focuses on the technology and media space as well. So, it's an area that I haven't totally gotten away from. And then, of course, I was general counsel of ASICS for a while as well. So while it's technically consumer products, it's also, advertising, marketing, media, because that's what you have to do in, a big global company that's trying to sell things to people. So,
Right on. Were there any
yeah.
times during, like Fandango or the transition where you felt like maybe you were in over your head and then you came out the other side?
Oh, absolutely. Every time you take a new job, you're kinda in over your head. I mean, I worked for, a small startup. It was an airline. I didn't know anything about an airline, but I knew a lot about being a good general counsel. So, thankfully, I was able to draw on either outside counsel or friends or whatever that kind of brought me up to speed on what I needed to know. But it does make you feel confident about your core skills. Because I mean, as you know, being a good GC, you have to be an excellent business person, but you also have to know a lot of things. Like maybe only this much, but you have to be able to tackle pretty much every problem on the planet, or at least not panic if someone brings something new to you. And so I think that's kind of our, I don't know, secret skill, I guess. So yeah, there's absolutely positions I've taken where I'm like, wow, this is a lot. And I don't know how to do this, or I've never done this before. But I think if you've gotten to the point where you've done a few of these jobs before, you do have the skills.
Yeah.
You just kind of have to take a deep breath and go, okay, maybe I don't know this industry, but I totally have these skills. I can do this. It'll be fine. And it could be a little bumpy at first, but you figure things out. But it's that core skill set, I think, that really makes the difference.
I think it is the core skill set, and people, a lot of people, especially, non-litigators will say like, "Well, law school didn't really prepare me for, being a lawyer." But I think like it really did because so much is
Mhm.
being able to spot issues
Right.
right? You're given a fact pattern,
Mhm.
you got to spot the issues, and then you got to bring solutions to those issues.
Right.
Same thing on the bar exam. Oh, the bar exam, multiple choice, whatever. Yeah, but the like, I don't know if they still do it, but the California performance section of the bar exam is a lot
Right.
what I experience on a daily basis. And now
True.
it's emails instead of a folder full of stuff. But yeah, everything's coming in, and nobody brings it to you like you said earlier. I've got this problem X, Y, and Z. They're like, no, here's a bunch of stuff. Like is like they don't even ask you, is there a problem? You got to find the problem, and then you got to bring the solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times it's up to you. Like you'll be sitting in a meeting and everybody will be acting like everything's totally great. And you're the one saying, "Oh, wait a minute, you guys, there is a problem," right? So to your issue spotting point, you have to be the one in the room thinking about things that they're not
Yeah,
necessarily thinking about. And maybe you discuss it and they go, "That's great, general counsel. We've heard you and we don't care. That's not a risk that we
yeah,
care about." And you
yeah.
go, "Okay, great." But at least it was said and it was thought about, but they would never have thought about that without
It's a
people like
great point,
us.
and something we've never talked about with any of the guests on the show but I'm sure it's something everybody's experienced of like, you're in the room, something's being discussed, you're not sure it's okay or not okay, and you start to think like, if I don't say anything, is that like tacit approval?
Right.
Right? So
Yep.
what are some techniques that you've, like, done along the way that you find effective in terms of balancing that you don't wanna be, stopping everything in its tracks, but on the other hand, you don't want people to think it's like, "Oh, legal signed off on this," before you've had a chance to, really understand and dig in.
Yeah. And I think it depends on what kind of meeting it is, who's there, what kind of relationship you have with the senior executive team. Or if you're in a board meeting at the time versus just a casual Zoom meeting with some C-suite people,
Yeah,
I think it's a situational answer to
totally,
that.
totally, yep,
But yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll be like, well, I agree with everything you said, and it's not a bad plan, but have we thought about maybe doing X instead of Y? Like, would that fundamentally change what you want to do? Because I think it would be better from a legal or regulatory or compliance standpoint or whatever the thing is, right?
yeah,
So sometimes you kind of just suggest a slight course correction,
yeah,
and a lot of times they're like, yeah, it's really not all that different. Okay, if it's less risk, cool, let's do it.
yeah,
Um, However, if it's basically, wow, you guys have been like preparing this thing for 6 months. You never told me about it. It's a complete disaster. And I have had that. And I think everyone
yes,
has.
right,
You don't necessarily want to blurt that out in the middle of a meeting and kind of throw everybody under the bus. Like, gee, you guys, like you totally screwed this up.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
think that might be one of those times when it depends on who's pushing it forward, right? Like if it's the head of BD who thinks they have this great idea and they're developing this thing, I'm just using that as an example.
right,
Maybe you go over to whoever it is after the meeting and go,
yeah,
"Hey, I didn't want to undermine you during the meeting and I didn't even want to bring it up because I didn't want to make you look bad, but I think you're really way off base on this. And next time, hey, can you just bring me in at the beginning of these projects? Because now it's so far down the line, it's going to be an ordeal, time, money, whatever, to fix this. And then, frankly, legal is going to get blamed for slowing down the process. Like, well, no, if you would have told me about this 6 months ago, I could have worked with you and partnered with you, and we could have been sitting here going, great, tomorrow we're launching.
totally.
So you kind of have to educate them a bit. And, again, it goes back to the relationship. And if it's the CEO, a lot of times they'll just be like, lawyer, we don't care what you say. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, and I think it varies if
Mhm.
you're, like, asked in the meeting versus you're wondering if you should speak up. I always think, later is better, but not not at all not never. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially if it's brainstorming, like, you
Mhm.
don't have to you don't wanna cut off the flow. Um
Absolutely. Yeah.
But like, before the meeting ends, you do wanna say, "Hey, we're just gonna take a look at, that issue to make sure it's," if you're
Right.
suspecting there could be a problem, you at least wanna put a placeholder down and then have the
Right.
conversations offline.
And I've done that too, where I just go, I kind of am thinking about some legal issues in my head. I don't know if I'm right or not.
Yep.
Let me take it back. Let me think on it. Please don't make any final decisions in the next whatever 24 hours, whatever it may be. I'll get back to you. And sometimes the answer is it was totally fine.
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
needed a moment to myself. Like I
Right.
didn't want to think on the fly and get it wrong. I think it's totally okay to say,
Well,
I
and
don't
how
know.
often is it that you're hearing about something for the first time
Right.
and you're not hearing about it in like a thoughtful, like the whole picture, you got a piece of a puzzle, you have no idea what the whole picture looks like, and you're not going to be able to opine on that, right? You've got to have somebody put it in context.
Yeah,
And the meeting's
exactly.
probably, usually not the right place to have somebody fill you in on the whole context,
Right.
but you put a placeholder down and then you do your work.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Interesting.
ideally, you have a team, which you don't always, but sometimes, it'd be great if you have a team who you could say, oh my gosh, this just came up in a meeting. Please look into this.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
exactly. Or,
but you don't always. So it
yeah,
might fall on you. And then you have to
right.
drop everything and prioritize this urgent item, which happens as well.
Yeah, totally. I wanna flip now because you're not just the GC in these situations, but you're a board member, you're a CEO. Like,
Yep.
from that side, how what does it look like to you when lawyers do things one way versus another in terms of the topic we're talking about?
It's interesting because I've been on several boards, public, private, whatever. And it is interesting because, and then of course, being a C-suite person sitting in board meetings, but if I'm coming from that perspective, I am the lawyer.
Right,
Um,
and if
so
there's other lawyers in the room, you've probably brought them in and you know what they're gonna
they're
say.
there at my invitation because they're my
Right.
primary outside counsel. But, still, I think there's definitely different styles, right? So when you're the board member and you're sitting there in a meeting and there was a very large law firm who was advising us in a public company board that I'm on. And I was like, really? Like, you're a partner in one of the biggest law firms. Like, are you absolutely kidding me right now? And I'm like, you need to be telling everybody, da 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 da.
Yeah,
Da."
yeah,
And I'm like, it is not my role to lecture this group or explain to them about XYZ issue. Why have you not brought this up? And at some point, I just, frankly, because it's one of the, highest fees firms that are out there.
yeah,
And I'm kind of like, this is appalling to me. Like,
yeah,
you need to do better.
right.
But generally speaking, I would say, yeah, I mean, they're generally pretty knowledgeable and respectful. But I do think if there's no GC and the outside counsel's kind of running the show, which does happen a lot as well, then as you well know, there's a big difference between the type of advice that law firms give and that, in-house people give. And so there's been times it's been hard for me, like from a board perspective, because I'm like, but that's not the right legal advice. And I'm like, I
Yeah,
know my role sitting right here isn't to be a lawyer, but that's law firm advice. And that's not always the right answer, right? There's kind of
right.
somebody like us has to really translate it from law firms speak and it filters through us and then it goes to business people, right? So,
Yeah.
or being a business person, right? And you like, it's an interesting perspective of, how do you navigate those business and legal issues and kind of keep things running.
I bet, like, when you identify, like, over hedging, you know what I mean? Like, like, that must drive you nuts, like, 'cause people lawyers tend to do that a lot. Once you've been in-house, you do it a lot less because you won't get away with it. But then to be in that context and hear it, it must sound different.
Well, honestly, sometimes I kind of like have to look down so I don't smirk or something. I don't want to be inappropriate. Like, really? Like, come on, take a position, stick with it. Like, give us business advice. Like, yeah, I want to hear your legal advice, but I also want to hear your business. Like, yeah, it could be A, it could be B, it could be C, but what's your answer and
Right.
why?
What would
Right? Like,
what would you do? Right. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Not what are you guaranteeing is the right answer. Like, everybody knows there's no
Yep.
guarantees.
Right. And so I think that's what all of us as GCs are good at, right?
Ye
Of saying,
yeah.
that's great, law firm. Thank you for giving me a giant memo with 26 different options. But I need to know which one you think is the best and why. And I may or may not agree with you, but I need you to at least be behind one or two of these
I
things
I
that you
I
gave me
like
as
that I
options,
like that your memo had 26 options at least, and not just
Well,
26 things to worry about in random order.
right, in random order that a first year wrote or something, and you're like, "Oh my god, you're killing me."
Mhm.
Yeah, I have actually, like, lectured law firms about that in the past of, like, "I don't want your 26 item memo. I want, like, in the very front, here is the answer to your like in law school, right? Like, here is the short answer to the question, and then you analyze it down below. Like, I want the
Now,
executive summary up top.
yeah, totally. Now, no law firm partners listening to this show would ever make that mistake because they're already
Of course not.
savvy enough to tune in and listen to what GCs think.
Well, let's hope that they tell their junior associates.
That's interesting. We could go off on that topic for a bit. Like, what do you think what do you think the future of law firms, law practice is in this new age of AI? That's a big question.
It is a big question. I mean, it's something I think about a lot actually, and I think I wouldn't want to be in law school, and I wouldn't want to be like a first through fourth year right now.
Is that
Um,
right? I tell everybody younger than me, I'm like, when they're complaining about the economy or whatever, I'm like, I'll switch places with you in a second. Let's
oh,
switch
really?
places. Yeah.
That's interesting. I
Right? I mean,
feel
it's a
like,
great time to be alive. It's a great time to be young. There's so
well, I
many
think from a
opportunities.
learning experience perspective,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, so much is changing every single day. Kind of back to our earlier conversation about like mobile devices and stuff. Like for us, that was so exciting and things were growing and changing, and we didn't know where it was going and we were learning. But, you know, those tools didn't have the ability to potentially do away with our billable hours or whatever, right? As a junior law firm person,
Yeah.
I think there's sort of a push-pull there because law firms are the billable hour model has always been kind of a challenge, and I think now that clients are really, really pushing their law firms to use responsibly, of course, and in a confidential way, but, enterprise versions of AI, and yeah, there's a lot of things that maybe, like a giant law firm might give to a paralegal in the past, and they bill a lot for it that
Yeah.
maybe AI could do the lion's share of it. So I think that'll be interesting to see how those economics change over time.
Yeah, so interesting. I mean, I think about like a couple of things, probably for the first, 20 years of my career that were like always coming. Kind of like the killer bees are always coming, or soccer is going to be the biggest spectator sport in America is always like right around the corner, but it never actually gets here.
Right.
Those two things were, what do we call it? Oh, video conferencing. Right? It was like, oh, and people and firms would spend a lot of money on, like, expensive video conferencing equipment that nobody would
Yep.
use, and then the other one was, like, the end of the billable hour, right? Always like, "Oh, it's gonna the end of the billable hour." Now, COVID came,
Right.
and video conferencing became Zoom, and it
Yep.
happened in, like, 2 weeks,
Absolutely. It changed
right?
overnight. Not
2
everybody's sitting
weeks.
in a
Yeah,
conference room with a camera on and you can
yeah.
never hear very well. Like,
First in the companies and then eventually the law firms, right?
right.
I mean, there were some early days where it'd be like everybody's on video except the law firm. There's some phone number, then they figured it out. And, so it was like flipping a switch, right? And so, I think AI has the potential to finally flip the switch on billable hours, the death of the billable hour. Doesn't mean, and just like it doesn't mean people don't get together in person in post Zoom era, but it's different and it'll never go back to being the way it was. Um,
Mhm.
I think, there'll still be billable hours, but I think there's going to be some inflection point here where it becomes the exception rather than the rule.
I think that's true, and I think they might have to think about, for junior or mid-level work, more flat fees for those portions of the work perhaps, because you're kinda combining that in with AI. But I do think that a senior partner has a lot of similarities to a GC, is that you understand so much and you know the nuances and you can figure things out like this on your own and you can issue spot and, so you might only bill an hour, but that same exact thing probably would have taken a junior person 10 hours just because you have all that knowledge and that experience. So I think those years of growing a practice and getting that knowledge, whether you're a GC or like a, partner in a law firm, I mean, that's just something that AI just is never going to have that kind
Mhm.
of instinct. I mean, maybe it will, I don't know. But at least at this point, I think that, the judgment and the instinct and the, oh my God, I've done this 10 times before, things like that, that more senior people have. I think that's where I wouldn't mind paying more per hour at a law firm, for example, for that kind of advice versus something that's just kind of routine that could be more commoditized.
Yeah, 100%. I think right now it could very well and it will change. But right now, I think the superpower is an experienced attorney using AI. Right?
Mhm.
This is accelerant. Will it matter if you're experienced? I don't know, like, what's gonna happen next, but right now, I think that's the right combination. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so tell me, what are the projects you're working on now that are, like, most exciting and new and that you wanna tell us about?
Oh gosh. Well, let's see. I have just, like I said, recently started working as CEO of a manufacturing company. Which I will say for any GC who wants to get into a CEO role, it's not dramatically different in the sense that you have to kind of understand the big picture issues, right? I would say I'm thankful that I've worked for two global manufacturing companies that are public as general counsel. So one was ASICS that I mentioned, and the other one is a dietary supplement company. So thankfully, I understand things about, making it in this company and then sticking it on a container ship and then it has to come through customs and then it goes here and there. So at least all the general concepts of a lot of this I get, we've had warehouses, so things like that have existed for me. So at least I understand the concepts, thank goodness. But yeah, I mean, it's a little daunting to not think about everything in lawyer terms, but I would
Mhm.
say on the plus side, don't underestimate how good of a business person you really are as a general counsel because I've been doing this for a couple months now. I would say most of the time I'm like, "Oh yeah, I've done this. Oh sure, I've done that. Oh yeah, this is no problem." And it's surprising, I guess, but pleasantly surprising that I think the legal department often gets tossed all the stuff that no one wants to do in every company I've ever worked for. And so I think what that does is, whether you want to or not, it gives you a lot of good skills. So it's like, well, everybody dumped this on me. Now what do I do? So you kind of have to figure it out. And it's frankly not legal most of the time. And so now shifting over to this CEO role, it's all sorts of things that I'm like, well, what do I do with this? And I'm like, well, actually, I have done this before. Maybe not exactly precisely like this, but there's a lot of overlap, at least in the skill set piece of it. So I guess I would say I'm thankful that, weirdly enough, people have thrown all kinds of stupid stuff at me over the years that have
Yeah,
forced me to learn things that
right,
really aren't legal, but they're really about like how to do business, how to run a business. And that really is a wonderful transferable skill for anybody.
right, and you've learned everything is figure outable.
Yeah, it really is. And again, back to the network concept. If you don't know, you probably have a friend who knows, whether it's a GC job or a CEO job or whatever. I mean, once you get to a certain point, if you have a great network, you just feel like, oh my gosh, I have this issue, Joe, what do I do? And you could say, oh gosh, I don't know, but call my friend, Susan, whatever it is. And that just
Yeah.
helps immensely, no matter what your role is, because you never want to feel like you're out on an island. And I think if you've done a good job of, your own learning, but also networking, you're never going to feel like you're just stuck there by yourself and kind of spinning because you're always going to have people you could rely on.
That's awesome, and you've been for a while now on the academic side, teaching an executive presence course. Do I have that
Yes.
right? At Wharton.
Yes, so I teach 2
Tell us about
classes
that.
at Wharton.
Yeah.
I teach executive presence and leadership development, so that's one of them,
To
and
business students.
no, to people like us. It's,
Oh,
through
okay, it's like an executive kinda.
it's mid-level, management on up to C-levels. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
got it.
business people.
Nice.
Um, and then I also teach, public company corporate governance, and that's also at Wharton. So that keeps me fresh on all the latest at what's going on at public companies and then also for companies that are thinking about going public.
Yeah, I bet it does. And then you have a fledgling project. Do you wanna talk about that?
Sure,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah,
one that you know about as well. We
yeah.
actually just, have been announcing it in the last few weeks. I have been working with UCI Law School and the dean of UCI Law School in trying to build a program on basically how to become a GC and how to be a great GC. So we're calling it, From Lawyer to Leader, the Path to the GC seat. So
Love it, and who will the students be in that course?
I guess somewhat similar to what I'm doing with these other courses I'm teaching, but we're targeting people who are sort of, 3 to 7 year Lawyers,
Mhm.
either in law firms or ones that are currently in-house.
Mhm.
People who, if you're in a law firm, you're thinking, oh, maybe I want to go in-house for a client. Maybe partnership isn't for me. Maybe I want to go in-house. Great. We're going to teach you about what the skills are. And, a lot of the things that we've been talking about today, just how you think about things differently and how to be a business person and all the soft skills that you need in order to really be successful. So there's that. And then also the people who are already in-house and maybe they just have a counsel level position, but they want to figure out, what do I need to do to climb the ladder if someday I want to be a deputy GC or a GC, like an actual management level role, because it's very different than being an individual contributor, more junior level in-house person.
Right. Oh, that's wonderful. And where can people go to find out more about that program, and where can they go to find out more about all the projects that you're working on?
So for me personally, I do have a website. So it's harringtonconsulting.org, and that talks about my consulting and my fractional GC work that I have, my board work and my teaching as well, and just my various endeavors and such. So I'd love for everybody to check that out if they're interested. And then as far as the UCI course, we just launched the website a few days ago, in fact. So there's an article that was published in the Orange County Business Journal that I have promoted on LinkedIn. So you can look at my LinkedIn or Dean Parrish, who is the law school dean. He posted about it as well. And then we have a link to the website as well. So it's not a live link in the sense of you can't sign up just yet,
Yep.
but it does tell you more about the course. But honestly, the article is a really, really great summary of everything that everyone's doing. And we have a bunch of really experienced, wonderful GCs who are participating in drafting the materials and teaching the courses. And pretty much all my friends that have agreed to participate and people that I'm sure all of them, Joe, and they're just
Nice.
really great people to learn from. So I think, it's going to be a fun experience. So we start the actual teaching portion at the end of August, kind of like to
Oh,
coincide
great.
with the school
Okay.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Awesome. That sounds like it's going to be great. Lisa, it's been such a pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm gonna dub you the Energizer Bunny. I'm just so amazed by all the things that you do, and what a nice portfolio of work, of contributing to the next generation, of volunteership and leadership, and now CEO-ship. So it's just incredible. I can't wait to see what's next for you.
I appreciate that. And it was great to see you again and catch up.
Likewise.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Lisa. Thank you for listening to my conversation with Lisa Harrington, GC, CEO, board member, and educator. Here are my 3 big takeaways for aspiring and current GCs. Number 1, your odd early jobs can become superpowers. Lisa's time in insurance defense and litigation wasn't her dream work at the time, but it gave her a deep understanding of risk, insurance, and downside scenarios, skills she draws on to this day as a GC, board member, and CEO. Don't dismiss the work you're doing now. Figure out how to turn it into an asset. Number 2, networking is not transactional, it's infrastructure. Lisa's entire career, from going in-house to Fandango and the Comcast sale, to board roles and CEO, have been powered by long-term, genuine relationships. She builds connections before she needs them, and then leans on that network to solve problems, open doors, and share opportunities. For GCs, a strong network isn't optional, it's part of the job. And number 3, great GCs are business leaders first and lawyers second. Whether she's sitting in the GC chair, in the boardroom, or in the CEO seat, Lisa is applying the same core skills: issue spotting, judgment, and business decision making. She uses legal training as a foundation, but she's constantly asking, what's the right business answer? And that mindset is exactly what her new program at UC Irvine is designed to teach. If you're on the path to the GC role or thinking about what comes after it, Lisa's career is a great reminder that everything is learnable or figure outable, as they say, and your network plus your judgment will carry you a long way. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow, rate, and share it with another lawyer who's serious about growing into a true business leader. And as always, feel feel free to reach out to me and connect on LinkedIn.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Becoming the GC. Whether you're preparing for the GC role or looking to sharpen your skills as a sitting general counsel, we hope this episode offered valuable insights and inspiration. If you enjoyed the conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your colleagues and friends. Explore more resources and join our community at InsideCounselAcademy.com. Please tune in next time for more insights and inspiring stories from successful legal leaders.